All right, music lovers, get ready to dive deep, because today we're tackling a question that's sure to spark some debate.
Oh yeah, this one's a big one.
We're counting down the top 10 soul singers of all time.
It's a musical showdown, folks. A battle for the ages.
And we're not just going to list names, we're going to break down what makes these artists so iconic.
Their styles, their stories, their impact on music and culture.
So buckle up and get ready for a soulful journey through the history of soul music.
Because we're about to crown the ultimate soul royalty.
So let's jump right in. At number 10, we have a singer-songwriter who brought a unique blend of social commentary and irresistible grooves to the soul music scene.
Curtis Mayfield, the gentle genius himself.
A true innovator who wasn't afraid to use his music to address important social and political issues.
Absolutely. His songs made you think, made you feel, and of course made you move.
And his story with the Impressions is a testament to his talent and perseverance.
Oh, definitely. They faced resistance at first. Some folks thought their sound was too gospel, too religious for mainstream audiences.
But Mayfield's songwriting was just too powerful to ignore.
Those lyrics, often addressing social and political issues, they resonated with listeners. And the music itself had this way of getting under your skin and making you move.
Speaking of getting under your skin, here's a detail that always amazes me about Curtis Mayfield. He taught himself to play guitar upside down.
What?
Yep. He was left-handed, and instead of restringing the guitar, he just flicked it over and learned to play it that way.
That's dedication.
Right. It shows his commitment to his craft, his willingness to break the mold and do things his own way.
It adds a whole new layer to appreciating his music.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to number 9. Embrace yourselves for some serious soul power.
Get ready to shout, because it's Wilson Pickett.
The Wicked Pickett.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking about raw energy and intensity.
This man's voice was forged in the fires of the Baptist Church.
Honed in those churches of Alabama, you can hear that gospel influence in every note.
But his style wasn't always universally loved.
True. Some critics found it too raw, too much for radio.
But you know what? That rawness, that intensity, became his signature.
It's what set him apart, made him stand out from the crowd.
And let's not forget about his legendary recording sessions.
Oh man, those are intense.
He'd demand dozens of takes until he got it just right.
Perfectionist.
Absolutely. Dedicated to his art.
And speaking of soulful showdowns, we can't talk about Pickett without mentioning his rivalry with James Brown.
Oh yeah, the battle for the title of King of Soul.
Two titans of soul music pushing each other to new heights.
And music fans were the real winners.
Absolutely. But don't worry, we'll be diving deep into the Godfather of Soul a little later in our countdown.
Oh, we can't forget the Godfather.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about a true musical innovator who defied all odds and created some of the most beloved soul music of all time.
At number 8, we have the one and only Stevie Wonder.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Talk about a musical journey that's both inspiring and awe-inspiring.
I mean, imagine losing your sight shortly after birth and then becoming one of the most influential musicians of all time.
It's incredible.
It really is. And he started so young, too.
Little Stevie Wonder captivating audiences with his talent.
But as he grew older, his music matured. He explored complex themes, pushed musical boundaries, and used his platform to advocate for social justice.
He understood the power of music to inspire change.
Absolutely. And he wasn't afraid to use his voice.
Now, here's a fact that always blows my mind. By age 9, Stevie Wonder had already mastered the piano, drums, and harmonica.
Wow.
Talent, dedication, hard work. It all came together to create a legend.
A powerful message for any aspiring musician out there.
All right, listeners, are you ready for number 7?
It's time for the Godfather himself.
James Brown, the hardest working man in show business.
The man who revolutionized soul and funk music.
His influence on music is undeniable, even on hip-hop.
His journey was far from easy, though.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine coming from a challenging background and then introducing this raw, energetic sound that shocked audiences.
It was a far cry from the polished pop music of the time.
Those early performances were electrifying.
The energy, the dance moves, those iconic splits, and that voice.
A true showman.
And his work ethic was legendary. He performed almost every single night of the year.
Sometimes even multiple shows a day.
Talk about dedication.
He was a musical entrepreneur, too. He owned radio stations, a private jet.
At a time when many Black artists struggled, James Brown built a business empire.
He really paved the way for so many artists.
All right, listeners, let's take a breath and prepare for some smooth, sensual soul.
Because at number 6, we have the Reverend of Love himself, Al Green.
Al Green brought a whole different vibe to soul music, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that falsetto, those romantic lyrics, that smooth, velvety sound.
It just melts your heart.
And his journey into soul music is full of fascinating twists and turns.
Like what?
Well, for starters, his own father kicked him out of the family gospel group for listening to Jackie Wilson records.
Seriously?
Yep. It's like fate had other plans for him.
And it seems like those plans worked out pretty well.
They did indeed. And here's another interesting detail. Years later, Al Green bought his own church in Memphis and continued to perform both gospel and soul music,
So he was preaching and singing.
embracing both sides of his musical personality.
All right, we're getting into the heart of the list now, listeners.
At number 5, we have a man whose music was deeply personal, often reflecting his own struggles and triumphs.
Marvin Gaye, the Prince of Soul.
His music explored complex themes of love loss and social injustice,
He wasn't afraid to be vulnerable, to lay his soul bare through his music.
and it resonated with audiences because it felt so real, so authentic.
He started his career at Motown as a session drummer, which is pretty amazing in itself.
But he had bigger aspirations.
He wanted to write his own songs, to tell his own stories, to push the boundaries of soul music.
And when he finally got the chance to do that, he created masterpieces like What's Going On.
An album that addressed social and political issues in a way that was both thought-provoking and deeply moving.
It was groundbreaking for its time, and it still resonates with listeners today.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about his incredible love songs.
Let's get it on sexual healing, celebrating sensuality and intimacy in a way that was both liberating and groundbreaking.
All right, listeners, get ready to be inspired.
Because at number 4, we have a true musical pioneer,
Ray Charles, the genius.
a man who defied the odds and redefined soul music.
Imagine losing your sight at a young age and then going on to become one of the most celebrated musicians of all time.
It's a testament to his resilience, his determination, and the unwavering support of his mother.
His mother played a huge role in shaping his character, instilling in him a fierce sense of independence.
She knew he would face unique challenges, and she prepared him to overcome them.
And his music was truly revolutionary. He blended gospel, blues, and jazz, creating a sound that was both spiritual and deeply soulful.
And remember, this was a time when such a fusion was considered controversial.
But Ray Charles didn't let that stop him. He believed in the power of music to unite people, to break down barriers.
And you know what else? Ray Charles learned to fly airplanes. Yes. And he could recognize cars by their engine sounds.
He lived life to the fullest, embracing every experience.
Okay, listeners, we're heading into the top 3 now. The tension is building.
It's getting close.
At number 3, we have an artist whose raw emotion and untimely death left an indelible mark on soul music.
Otis Redding, the king of soul.
A voice that could convey the full spectrum of human emotion.
Joy, pain, longing, hope. It was all there in his music.
And his career, though tragically cut short, was filled with iconic performances and soul-stirring music.
His discovery at Stax Records was pure serendipity. He was actually driving another musician to a recording session when he got his chance.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
And that one chance led to a legacy that continues to inspire us today.
Now, here's something you might not know about Otis Redding. He was a successful pig farmer.
A pig farmer?
Yep, he owned a 300-acre ranch and loved spending time outdoors.
So he was the king of soul and a man of the earth.
It just goes to show that these artists were more than just their music. They were complex individuals with diverse interests and passions.
And speaking of iconic moments in soul music history, we can't forget about the whistle at the end of Sitting on the Dock of the
It
Bay.
was completely improvised.
Yeah.
He forgot the lyrics and just whistled.
Sometimes the best moments are unplanned.
Okay, listeners, we're down to the final 2.
The anticipation is killing me.
At number 2, we have a true pioneer,
A man who bridged the gap between gospel and soul music.
Sam Cooke, the man who invented soul.
His voice was smooth as silk, and his music was both sophisticated and deeply emotional.
He faced a lot of criticism when he transitioned from gospel to secular music.
Some folks saw it as a betrayal, but Cooke saw it as an evolution.
He wanted to reach a wider audience to share his music with the world.
And his talent was undeniable. He had a photographic memory for lyrics and music.
It was like a superpower. He could hear a song once and remember it perfectly.
And tragically, his life was cut short much too soon.
But his legacy lives on through his music, through the countless artists he inspired, and through the millions of people whose lives have been touched by his soulful voice.
Okay, listeners, are you ready?
The moment we've all been waiting for has arrived.
We've reached the top of our countdown.
The number 1 spot, the undisputed Queen of Soul.
It's time to crown our queen, Aretha Franklin.
The Queen of Soul. There she is, listeners, reigning supreme at the top of our list. And could it have been anyone else?
Honestly, I don't think so. Her voice, the power, the emotion, it's unparalleled.
And she came from such a rich musical background?
Oh, absolutely. Her father was a renowned preacher, known for his dynamic voice, and her home was like a hub for gospel legends.
Imagine the energy in that house.
It must have been incredible. Talk about a musical education.
No wonder she developed such extraordinary talent.
And she took those gospel roots and infused them into her soul, music creating a sound that was both spiritual and fiercely independent.
And speaking of independent, remember how she always kept her purse on stage during performances?
Oh, yeah, that was iconic.
It was more than just a fashion statement. It was a symbol of her self-reliance and a reminder of the challenges Black artists faced back then.
Absolutely. Promoters weren't always trustworthy, and some would try to cheat artists out of their earnings.
So Aretha kept her purse close, a statement of her power and control.
A true queen on and off the stage.
And let's not forget her impact on American culture, performing at 3 presidential inaugurations. That's a testament to her status as a national treasure.
Carter, Clinton, and Obama. Her music transcended boundaries, spoke to the soul of a nation, and continues to inspire generations of singers and music lovers.
She really embodied the spirit of soul music, strength, resilience, passion, and an unyielding belief in the power of music to uplift and inspire.
You know, it's interesting how many of these soul legends we've talked about got their start in the church.
That's a great observation. Curtis Mayfield, Wilson Pickett, Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke. It's like gospel music was the foundation for their incredible voices.
It wasn't just about vocal training either. Gospel music is all about storytelling, about connecting with your audience on a spiritual and emotional level.
And they brought that same approach to soul music, creating songs that resonated with listeners on a deeply personal level.
Sharing their stories, their struggles, their hopes and dreams.
It's like they were preaching through their music.
And the music itself was so infectious. The grooves, the melodies, the harmonies.
It made you want to get up and dance, to sing along, to feel something deep in your soul.
That combination of powerful vocals, meaningful lyrics, and infectious music, that's what makes soul music so enduringly popular.
Absolutely. It speaks to something universal, something that transcends generations and cultures.
Now, as we celebrate these soul icons, it's important to remember that they didn't just create music.
They challenged conventions, broke down barriers, and used their platforms to advocate for social justice.
Marvin Gaye's What's Going On album, a masterpiece that tackled social and political issues head-on.
Stevie Wonder using his music to campaign for Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
They weren't afraid to use their voices to speak truth to power.
And their music continues to inspire us today, to remind us that we can overcome adversity, that we can fight for what we believe in, and that we can use our voices to make a difference.
They were pioneers, trailblazers, true revolutionaries.
And their music reflects the different eras they lived in. You can almost hear the social and political landscape of America woven into their songs.
Like James Brown, his rise to fame coincided with the civil rights movement.
You can hear that fight for equality and freedom in his music.
And Marvin Gaye, exploring the complexities of love, war, and social injustice in the 70s.
And Aretha Franklin becoming a symbol of female empowerment in the same era.
Their music was a reflection of their times.
A testament to their lived experiences.
A powerful force for social and cultural change.
It's a reminder that music is more than just notes and rhythms. It's a reflection of our humanity, our joys and sorrows, our hopes and fears.
And soul music has this incredible ability to tap into those raw emotions and connect with us on a deeply personal level.
You know, as we've been talking about these soul legends, it's clear that their music is still relevant today.
Absolutely. Their messages of love, hope, resilience, and social justice, they resonate with listeners across generations.
Their music transcends time.
It speaks to the human spirit.
And that's why they deserve to be celebrated, remembered, and listened to for generations to come.
And now, listeners, I have a question for you. As you've been listening to us talk about these soul icons, what's been striking you the most?
What connections are you making between their music and the times they lived in?
What insights have you gained into the power of soul music to shape culture and inspire change?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let us know.
And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on future episodes.
We'll be back next time with another deep dive into the music that moves us.
Until then, keep the soul alive.
And we're back, listeners, still riding that soul train right into the heart of our top 3.
It's getting intense now. The competition's heating up. We've got true titans left on our list.
Speaking of titans, at number 3, we've got a force of nature, a voice that could move mountains.
Otis Redding, the king of soul. There's no other title that could possibly fit him.
It's that raw emotion, right? You feel it in every note he sings.
Joy, heartbreak, longing, hope. He poured it all into his music, just raw, unfiltered soul.
And you can't forget those live performances. The energy was just explosive.
He commanded the stage, captivating the audience with his voice and his presence.
He truly was the king. But, there was another side to Otis Redding, a quieter side.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
Well, he was a successful pig farmer, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Owned a 300-acre ranch, loved spending time outdoors.
Wow, the king of soul and a man of the earth.
Yeah.
It makes you realize these artists, they're more than just their music.
Absolutely. They're complex individuals with passions and interests, just like the rest of us.
Speaking of iconic moments, remember that whistle at the end of Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay?
Oh man, pure magic. He forgot the lyrics and just whistled, created one of the most recognizable moments in music history.
Sometimes the best things in life are unplanned. Speaking of unplanned, are you ready to unveil our number 2?
Hit me with it. Who takes the second spot on our soul podium?
It's the man some even say invented soul music, Sam Cooke.
The man who invented soul. His voice was like velvet, smooth and rich, and his music just oozed sophistication.
But let's not forget, his journey was far from easy. Starting in gospel, then moving to secular music, that was a controversial move.
Absolutely. A lot of people saw it as a betrayal, but Cooke had a vision. He wanted to reach a wider audience.
He wanted to bring people together with his music, bridge the gap between gospel and popular music.
And he had the talent to back it up. The man had a photographic memory for lyrics and music.
Could you imagine, hear a song once, remember it perfectly? That's a gift, pure and simple.
Sadly, his story ended too soon. But his impact, his legacy, it lives on through his music.
And now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, the Queen herself.
Aretha Franklin, reigning supreme at the top of our list. There's simply no one who compares to her vocal power and emotional depth.
Her voice was an instrument, conveying a range of emotions that could leave you breathless.
Joy, sorrow, anger, love, vulnerability, strength. She embodied it all, and she wasn't afraid to express it.
And she wasn't just a singer, she was a force for change, demanding respect and advocating for equality.
She inspired generations of women, became a symbol of resilience and empowerment.
Her music, it's timeless, it speaks to something deep within us, something universal.
Respect, think, I never loved a man the way I love you. Her songs are anthems that still resonate today.
And that's the power of soul music, isn't it? It captures the essence of the human experience, the highs and lows, the triumphs and struggles.
So listeners, that wraps up our soulful journey through the top 10 soul singers of all time. We've explored their stories, their music, their impact.
But remember, this is just the beginning. Dive deeper into their discographies, discover the hidden gems, and let their music move you.
And don't forget to let us know your thoughts. Who are your favorite soul singers? What songs speak to your soul?
Share your comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the music that shapes our world.
Until then, keep the soul alive.